Hello, everyone. Today is already September, and since there are some changes in the game, I've also updated the tier list. Um, I want to emphasize that this time the tier list has changed a lot, partly thanks to all of your feedback on the August tier list video. For this month, I've removed tier SS and added tier A plus and S plus to make the ranking system clearer. There are just too many heroes now, so we can't keep using the old tiers anymore. This update promises a lot of exciting changes, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do so and stay tuned for more great videos. Now, let's jump right into the main content. First, in Tier D, there's a small change. Now only 4 heroes remain: Catwoman, Black Canary, Atom, and Stargirl. Honestly, picking who to put in Tier D is always tough, because in terms of strategy, almost every hero has their own usefulness. The only exceptions are Catwoman and Black Canary, since I still haven't found much utility for them in battles, so they always end up here. Stargirl works well against the combat cycle boss, but she requires a heavy investment. To be more precise, she needs at least 1 red star to actually be useful in the fight against the drowned boss. As for Adam, his DMG is really high, but he can only use it once. That's why I've kept him in Tier D. He might still be useful in PvP since survival there is tough anyway, but since I haven't tested him much in that mode, I don't dare move him higher. Next is Tier C, where we have more changes. Last month, there were more heroes in this tier, but now most of them have been ranked higher. A notable addition here is Deadshot, since I feel he's actually pretty strong. Not bad at all. Some of you on my channel also agreed with this point, so I decided to move Deadshot up. As for Red Hood, I also think he's strong, but not quite enough to get promoted yet. However, if in the future he gets transformed into a mythic, I might consider moving him up by 1 or 2 ranks. Vixen is also a solid hero, and I often use her to boost attack for teammates, especially for the main DMG dealer. Still, I decided to keep her in Tier C because there are others who perform that role better. For example, Flash not only increases attack, but can also give allies a chance to deal DMG twice, especially if the main DMG dealer uses their ultimate before Flash takes his turn. As for Penguin, he can actually deal pretty high DMG, but he doesn't really have a place in the Arkham team, since that team already has other heroes with much better synergy. Now we move on to Tier B. Thanks to the strength of the Legion of Doom team, I decided to move Killer Croc up a rank. He has good survivability in PvP, and with the presence of many strong physical DMG dealers like Supergirl and Lex Luthor, Killer Croc's ultimate becomes very useful in battles. For Aquaman, I'm also considering ranking him higher since I've been using him quite a lot recently. The main reason is his control skills, which are very beneficial for teammates in PvP. However, because his DMG output isn't that great, I'm still hesitating and haven't made a final decision yet. As for the rest, I feel they all deserve to be in Tier B. They're not too weak, but also not too strong. The one I'm still unsure about is Robin. He's not terrible, but placing him in Tier B feels a bit off, since he's definitely weaker than other heroes in this tier due to his randomness. That said, with the development of both the Bat family and the Titan team, I think it's still reasonable to keep him here. The same goes for Red Robin, who really needs to be paired with those two factions to maximize his survivability. In Tier A, there are a few changes. Martian Manhunter and Two-Face have been promoted to this tier. The main reason is that I think Martian Manhunter is overall better than Hawkgirl, especially after hearing feedback from many of you. I always listen to your opinions since I can't test every single hero myself. Sometimes I can only rely on their skills to place them in the tier list. As for Two-Face, after the recent update, he has become much more useful for the Arkham team, even helping them secure a stronger spot in the rankings. In the past, he already supported several spiritual damage heroes by lowering the enemy's spiritual defense. But now, with his new skill, he has become even more valuable to the Arkham side, despite not dealing very high damage himself. Batgirl has also been promoted because she's especially useful for both the Bat family and the Teen Titans. With the rise of strong AoE physical damage dealers like Supergirl and Talia, her crit rate support becomes extremely valuable. As for the rest of the heroes, I won't go over them again since I've already covered them in previous videos. I'll only mention those I'm considering changing ranks for. Now we come to Tier A+. plus. You may remember that last month I placed Lex Luthor in Tier B, but this month I've moved him up to Tier A+. plus. After analyzing the Legion of Doom more carefully, I realized Lex Luthor is absolutely essential for this team. He not only provides energy support so the team can use their ultimates earlier, but he also deals solid damage and contributes AoE damage for the faction. Not as wide as Constantine's, but still enough to threaten the enemy's backline. I believe he deserves this spot, and honestly, I even considered moving him to Tier S since his damage is on par with Talia and Constantine. The only thing holding him back is that he doesn't have his own legacy. Next is Batman. After the recent update, he has become more useful in several factions, no longer relying too heavily on the Justice League. His damage seems quite good, or maybe I've rated him a little too high, so I'd love to hear your opinions on this. As for the three members of Justice League Dark, I think Tier A+ plus is the right place for them. In nearly every battle, they prove their worth. One solid tank, another tank with critical support skills, and one very strong healer who's also easy to star upgrade. I've already upgraded her to 3 purple stars. I even thought about moving them up to Tier S. But since there's nobody in Tier S, I would move down. I'll keep them here for now. Moving on to Superboy and Crypto. These two are incredible supports for Supergirl. In fact, if you're playing the Superman family team, they're absolutely essential. That said, they can still provide good support to other factions too. Personally, I use Crypto more often because I was able to collect more stars for him during events, and his survivability support is excellent. Finally, we have Ra's al Ghul. He's a good damage dealer, but his survivability is very low. His strength is being able to choose his targets, though only those on the sides. He can't target the center. Because of that limitation, I rank him lower compared to other assassins. Now we move on to Tier S. First, let's talk about the new hero, Queen Hippolyta. She's an incredible survival supporter, willing to sacrifice herself to take damage for her teammates. That's why I'm certain she's even better than Dr. Fate in PvP, because in PvP, staying alive is always extremely difficult. Queen Hippolyta can also counter Nightwing, helping allies survive as long as possible. Green Lantern is another strong survival supporter who can also counter Nightwing thanks to his first skill that stuns. However, since the stun is random, it isn't guaranteed. Another issue is that he's a pay-to-own hero, meaning you need to spend money to get him with multiple stars. Otherwise, you'll only have him at 0 stars. For players who invest money to upgrade his stars, I would actually place him in Tier S+. Zatanna is also a great support for Justice League Dark. She boosts survivability, increases teammates' attack, and can create clones to split enemy attacks. Her drawback is that her banner is very close to Constantine's, so free-to-play players usually can't afford to get both. Next is Superman, who has held the top spot for a very long time. Now I've placed him in Tier S because over time more and more heroes have appeared who deal better damage than he does. The same goes for Sinestro. He deals a lot of damage, really huge amounts, but his attacks are random, which makes it hard to fit him into a precise strategy. If you're playing the Legion of Doom team, though, he's still worth investing in. But if I had to choose between Sinestro and Deathstroke, I'd still go with Deathstroke's, since his damage is higher and he can target more precisely. As for Scarecrow, after the latest update, his survivability improved, and now he can generate more buffs and debuffs to support his team. He fits better with the Arkham faction, but he also supports the Legion of Doom really well. Thanks to this update, I've moved him up to Tier S. Without it, he would only be in Tier A or A+. Poison Ivy is hands down the best free healing hero in the game right now, and she's widely favored by players. Personally, I think she's better than Raven. However, since I focus on Justice League Dark, I use Raven instead. Plus, Raven is easier to star upgrade. Finally, there's Talia. Even though I haven't used her yet, just looking at her skills, I can already tell she's stronger than Ra's al Ghul. She works best in AoE-focused teams, and in my opinion, AoE damage dealers are usually the best in brawler-style games, since they help wipe out enemies faster. Now we've reached Tier S+, and of course Constantine still holds this position. He not only deals AoE damage, but also applies burn, and thanks to his legacy, his ultimate deals damage an additional time. This makes his overall damage extremely high, capable of wiping out entire enemy teams unless they have Dr. Fate's support, or he's taken out early by an assassin. That's exactly why Nightwing and Deathstroke are so important. Their role is to eliminate these ranged damage dealers as quickly as possible. Why didn't I place either of them in Tier S? Mainly because they're quite controversial. Each has their own strengths and weaknesses, and putting one above the other always causes debate. In truth, when they're on the same team, it's very hard to beat that lineup. Still, if we compare their damage, I'd lean toward Nightwing, since his high crit rate allows him to outdamage Deathstroke by a large margin. But Deathstroke has his own edge. He can strike faster because his multiversal force makes his first skill hit earlier. Plus, he always targets the enemy with the highest attack, which means he reliably goes after the main threat. On the other hand, Nightwing targets the enemy with the lowest HP, which isn't always the damage dealer. However, if Nightwing gets to use his ultimate, he can wipe out the whole enemy team, stopping only if at least one target survives. So overall, I think it's most fair to place them at the same level. As for Joker, the reason he remains in the top tier is that while his initial damage isn't very high, his venom effect stacks up to 100 times. Over time, this creates massive damage, especially against opponents who summon a lot. In those battles, his damage becomes insane. Now let's talk about Supergirl. Many players don't realize that she actually deals double the damage of Constantine, and on top of that, she can crit. If she crits, her damage can be 4 or even 5 times that of Constantine. The drawback is that she requires heavy investment in the Superman family team to maximize her damage, especially maxing out Krypto at 5 red stars and Superboy at 5 white stars or higher. Because of this investment, she tends to be undervalued by free-to-play players. But from my own experience, it's still possible to make progress as a free or low-spending player. For example, during events, I was able to get Krypto up to 1 gold star using mythic shards, mother box drops, and lucky draws. So with enough patience, you can still make it work. Finally, we have Starfire, the only pure support hero placed in Tier S+. She has huge advantages. Free-to-play players can still obtain and star her up through banners, and she provides both healing and damage reduction for her team. On top of that, she lowers enemy attack power. Just with these skills alone, she's arguably the best support in the game, boosting survivability, restoring health, and weakening enemies all at once. With her in your lineup, it's incredibly hard for opponents to bring your team down. That concludes this month's tier list. If you have any feedback or disagreements, feel free to leave a comment below the video. I'll read and listen to all of your opinions. Honestly, I spent 2 full days thinking through these rankings, and it was still tough because every hero has their own usefulness in certain situations. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it so more people can see it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.